We are gonna go look at something. Nobody knows about it but me and the guy that has it. So we're gonna go look at it. I don't need it. I'm probably not gonna get it. So this may not even be a video, but I'm taking video just in case something happens and it becomes a video. We are behind the person that I'm meeting up with, so I'm just going to follow him to where we're going. So what I'm going to tell you right now is that we are actually going to look at a Ford product. So that's your hint until up here where we see a little better look at it. But right now, we're going to go look at a Ford product. Can you guess what kind of Ford product it is? Got it? Got something in your head? Okay, alright. Let's look at it. Right. Maybe. Now. There it is. A 60s or 70s MUTT. M151G. Well, it's not Jeep. It's an M151 produced by Ford. Went in service in the 60. And then they would have, I think it was 82 that they stopped putting them into service. Yeah. And then they kind of disappeared in the 90s. Yep. Well, that's probably not going to happen. I gave him an offer, but it's a pretty low offer. However, it's probably higher than, like, I probably shouldn't have even offered at all. Probably shouldn't have offered anything at all, because those, like that vehicle it's an M151, which it's called the M.U.T.T. The M.U.T.T. because it's a military utility tactical truck. And they're not Jeeps. They are a Ford product. They went and my knowledge of them is not great. I've been into them. I've been into old Jeeps, so I'm familiar with them. And being familiar is, I know they went into the service in 60. I think it was around 82 that they stopped having them in service. And that was, I mean, that's the year of my Scrambler, so that's kind of why it sticks with me. I know they had some stick around and being used even into the 90s. But the issue with them, so you have the old Jeeps. Everybody thinks the Willis. People know it as the Willis. M38, M38A1, which evolved after the war, evolved into like a CJ2A, CJ5, CJ7, yada yada. Those are not the same thing as the M.U.T.T. The Jeeps were a solid axle. The older versions, like that year range, the military versions, were a twin stick transfer case with a 3-speed transmission, and they had their own engine transmission setup. That is a 24 volt military vehicle, which a lot of the Jeeps were, but that is a 4-speed transmission with a granny low. Granny low meant that they didn't have a divorced transfer case, so it's a single stick transfer case. The big thing on those is the suspension's totally different. Like, it's not a solid axle, so it's got independent suspension. They kind of were bad about rollovers. Even on supposedly, even on slow speed, flat surface, somehow they still rolled over. So I don't know if it's just hitting like potholes and ruts, things like that. I don't know how on a flat surface at low speed you're going to roll one. But regardless, they said they did. Overall, pretty good vehicles, just a totally different vehicle. Similar to a Jeep, but it's not one. So that's where we're at with that. This one specific, the reason I said that I shouldn't have offered anything is because the unibody on that thing, they're unibody. Jeeps, you have your frame, wheels and suspension, everything, drivetrain is on a frame. And then the body sits on top of the frame. Cool, right? Yeah. These aren't. These are like modern vehicle, like cars, where the frame is built into the body. So you have the body and the frame, that's all one unit, and everything bolts to that, which is okay. I mean, there are advantages in general, but the problem is that when the unibody is rusted out, it's highly unsafe, and it's a lot of a project to try to rebuild anything to the point of using it, you know. He was wanting to make a rat rod. Cool. You know, I've never seen an M151 rat rod. Don't know that I... My phone quit working, but we're back. I don't know that I really want to see an M151 rat rod. Rat rods have their place. They're cool. Not all of them are cool. But the general concept of them is cool, right? They're creative. They're a lot of ingenuity. They're kind of like, rat rods, in my perception, are kind of like YouTube of the vehicle world. And you know, you have the sitcoms and movies that are like mass-produced vehicles. You know, a lot goes into them. They're highly engineered. YouTube and rat rods are for those who don't have the big spending accounts and don't have, you know, they're for normal, common people, for the most, with some exceptions. But your typical rat rod is like YouTube, and it's for the common people, which is great. You know, you can have what you want, whether you like it, whether anybody else likes it or not, it doesn't matter. You build what you like. I respect that. And there's a lot of really cool ones out there. And M151, there's enough of them out there, and there's enough restored. It's not like, you know, that big of a deal if they do one, so it could be cool. I'm just, my nature, I'm a preservationist and a restorer more than anything. So I don't know where I stand, but it doesn't matter where I stand, because if someone has one and they want to do that, then they can do it. That's the fun thing about living in America and having freedom and all of that. Do what you want. Don't worry about what other people think. Within reason. I mean, within reason. You know, chew with your mouth shut. Put your carts away at the store. You know, that's not even caring about what people think. That's just being curious. But, you know, if it comes to, like, building a rat rod, if you want one, build it. Who cares? Well, I hope you care. Okay, don't. Okay. People care. But they could care in a good way. Moving on. The reason that he is not building it into a rat rod is because it is not your typical setup with a solid rear axle, full frame, or hot rod buildable thing. They're unique. That's why he's not doing it. And why you shouldn't do it, it will fall apart. Like, honestly, I wouldn't even trust putting a thing up on my 2-post lift, because there's nothing firm to lift on. It will probably just crumple. So that's not good. So that's why you should not own that vehicle. It's basically a yard ornament. It needs a home, but it's really not in good shape. It's all there, minus what's not. And it's not that it's stripped off, it's nature taking it back. So that's why somebody should not own that vehicle. However, I made an offer. It's a low offer, but it's a very reasonable offer given that what it is, to my knowledge, how I feel right now. And there's a good chance I'm not going to tell anybody that I made the offer. I told him that if he can get more out of it this week, or however long he wants, if he can get more out of it and honestly sell it to someone who wants it to the point where they will pay more power to him. If he doesn't, and he needs it gone, he has nowhere to put it. If it doesn't sell, if no one wants it, it needs a home, and it deserves to have a home. I know it's an inanimate, rusted out vehicle, but it is a 60s era, 60s, 70s military vehicle. It's cool. It's vintage Americana. It is a Ford military tactical truck. How cool is that? Just to say it's worth what I offered, just to say you have a Ford military tactical truck. Put some olive drab on it, put some stars back on, and it's not dressing it up like a military vehicle like they do with Jeeps, like civilian Jeeps that they paint up to look like they're military. No, don't do that. If they weren't in the military, don't make them, they don't draft the Jeep. They weren't in the military. Don't make them go there now. That's like buying a Army or a Marine jacket at at Goodwill and wearing it and acting like you're in the military. Don't do that. That's wrong. Those Jeeps weren't in the military. Don't make them where they feel like they should have been. M38s, things like that, actually military vehicles like that, it served. It's an M151. It would have been on a military base. It might have just been used to go between, the cafeteria and the bunkhouse. I don't know. But it would have served on a military base. It would have been olive drab. To my knowledge, would have been olive drab. They would have had the stars and the specified numbers badging on it. Freshen it up, make it look like it used to. I mean, if it's going to get crushed or scrapped or hot rodded or something, it'll still be there. But why take it off the, it still exists. Why make it not exist now? So, yeah, that's what I do. I don't have any good reason for doing it, but that's what I want to do. That's what I'm going to do. So, might be having an addition to the box. So, and I may or may not go ahead and post this. You're probably not going to like it because it's just me driving and rambling. It's kind of tough. If you're still watching it, it's your own fault. It really is. If you're not watching it, then you don't know that I'm even telling you this. So you're good. You're probably out eating tacos or something. It's cool. We need to do a taco video. If you actually watch this, especially to this point, tell me what kind of taco related videos we should do. We've talked about some things, but if you have a specific taco related video that we should do, tell me. But for right now, Chief and I are heading back to town to the shop to move a truck and do things. So you should have a wonderful evening. Tomorrow's Monday, so if you're watching watching this and it's not Monday, tomorrow's not Monday, but for me, tomorrow's Monday. I gotta go back to work. But right now, sun's setting. It's a gorgeous night in Kansas. Bye.